Welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inung, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu urges Ecowas to declare resource theft international crime. AIG Awal commends Governor Eno on dedication to security and law enforcement. Plus, Israeli military says bodies of 4 more deceased hostages handed to Red Cross in Gaza. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news this afternoon from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has urged the Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas, to designate resource theft, including illegal mining and the stealing of minerals, as an international crime. The president warned that the practice poses a direct threat to the stability and security of the West African region. Speaking through the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, at the 2025 Annual General Assembly of the Network National Anti-Corruption Institutions in West Africa, NASIWA, at the Ecowas Secretariat in Abuja, the President said the time had come for the regional bloc to galvanize international support against the trade in stolen minerals from West Africa. The President noted that illicit financial flows and the plundering of mineral resources have become a growing menace, fueling insecurity and violent crimes across the sub-region. President Tinubu warned that no single country could win the battle against illicit financial flows or resource theft alone, stressing that regional collaboration through NASWA offers ECOWAS a viable platforms to coordinate efforts against corruption and its offshoots. Away from that, the Federal Ministry of Education has said that the Nigerian senior secondary school students in arts and humanities will no longer be required to present a credit in mathematics in their senior school certificate examination organized by the West African Examination Council and the National Examination Council as a condition for admissions to universities and polytechnics. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, described the reform as a deliberate effort to expand access to tertiary education. The ministry also approved the comprehensive reform of admission entry requirements into all tertiary institutions across the country, increasing the average annual intake from about 700,000 to 1 million students. Adding that, the new policy aims to expand access to higher education and create opportunities for an additional 250,000 to 300,000 admissions each year. And from the Red Chamber, the Senate has set up a 12-member ad hoc committee to advise the legislature on how to respond to the growing international concerns over alleged state-backed persecution of Christians in Nigeria. The decision was reached during a closed-door session where lawmakers deliberated on recent claims by the United States government suggesting possible acts of genocide targeting Christians in some parts of the country. The Senate's move follows increasing diplomatic scrutiny and potential implications of such allegations on the Nigeria's international reputation and interfaith relation members of the committee, including Victor Ume, Yemi Adaramodu, Anyekan Basi, Niyi Ademumrere, Abdul Ningi, Titus Zam. Others include Tony Unwoye, Tahir Mugunu, Asukwo Ekpeyong. Meanwhile, the committee has been tasked with developing a comprehensive position paper for presentation to both the executive and the Senate. And now to the Green Chambers, where the House of Representatives has called on the federal government and security agencies to strengthen security operations in Kebe and Tambuwal local government areas of Sokoto State, following a series of bandit attacks that have claimed several lives and displaced many residents. The resolution followed a motion of urgent national importance moved by Abdul Shama Dasuki, representing Kebe Tambuwal Federal Constituency, during yesterday's plenary. Presenting the motion, Dasuki expressed concern over the rising wave of banditry in his constituency, noting that communities in Kebe and Tambuwal have been under constant attacks. Dasuki noted that the insecurity has forced residents to flee their homes, disrupted education, and worsened poverty as farmers have abandoned their farmlands out of fear. The lawmaker urged the security agencies to adopt a more coordinated and intelligence-driven approach to protect lives and property in the rural and border communities. Adopting the motion, the House directed the armed forces, police, and other security agencies to reinforce operations in the affected areas. The House further tasked its committees on defense, national security, and intelligence and police affairs to liaise with security agencies for effective implementation and report back within 2 weeks. In a separate development, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, Senator George Akume, has said Nigeria is developing indigenous capabilities to neutralize contemporary security threats. Akume spoke at the second annual Defense Research and Development Bureau Seminar and Exhibition 2025 at the National Defense College in Abuja. Represented by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, the SGF said research and development in the defense sector is no longer an option but an imperative for the nation's survival, stability, and leadership. On the African continent, according to the SGF, in today's rapidly evolving global environment and changing nature of warfare, national interests are projected through national power underpinned by military strengths, supported by research, technological advancements, innovation, and the sophistication of operational platforms. Back here, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 6, AIG Mohammed Musa Awal, has commended Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino for his unwavering support to the Nigerian police, commitment to security and law enforcement. Speaking during a courtesy visit to the government at the State Executive Council chambers in the Government House, Uyo, the AIG said if all the other state governors had adopted Governor Ino's approach to security, challenges in the sector would be better managed. He commended the governor for his impressive support to the state command of the force and requested the cordial working relationship continues. AIG Awal particularly thanked Governor Ino for upgrading facilities and infrastructure in the state police headquarters at Ikotakpanabia, as well as in other stations across the state, and urged governors of other states in the country to emulate the template set by Governor Umo Eno.
So totally a refurbished, renovated, extremely excellent police command headquarters here in Akwa Ibom. I was told by the Commissioner of Police that you have contracted out the construction of 1.3-kilometer roads, internal roads within the headquarters. I have seen a redesign of the entrance, that is the main gate of the command headquarters. The serenity and the environment is so wonderful. And equally, I was privileged to be informed that you have now created what we call Central Command Center, of which whenever we have any joint operation or simulation or any exercise with other security forces, there is going to be a kind of a place to operate from within. And equally, I know it will come to fruition maybe when you are able to get more patrol vehicles that will be put in different parts of this state so that you will be able to lock the state in terms of security so that nobody will just come into Akwa Ibom and play rubbish and get out with it, which is a very good initiative, Your Excellency. Commissioner of Police.
In his remarks, Governor Ino stated that the security and welfare of the citizenry remain a top priority of his administration. He commended the selflessness of the Nigerian police and other security agencies in ensuring optimum security, safety and peace witnessed across the state. He attributed the milestone recorded in maintaining peace in the state to the support and collaboration of the force, acknowledging the importance of the service in the state, and implored citizens and residents of the state to continue to support the police and other security agencies to enable them to deliver on their duties. The governor appreciated the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, and the AIG Mohammed, and expressed hope that in the course of their duty, the tour, they would make the state a top priority. And now to Africa, where, in a dramatic escalation of Madagascar's political crisis, Colonel Michael Pandarina of an elite military unit has announced that the armed forces are taking control of the country. The statement followed a parliamentary vote to impeach President Andry Rajoelina, who was reportedly fled from the country amid a growing rebellion within the military. Despite the takeover, Randerina confirmed that the National Assembly would continue its functions. He outlined a new transitional structure, which includes a joint presidency, a functioning government, and a judicial reform led by the Supreme Constitutional Court. The power shift follows weeks of mass anti-government protests, largely driven by Gen Z demonstrators demanding change. And still in Africa, former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who had been undergoing treatment in Kochi, has passed away today due to cardiac arrest. Odinga collapsed during a morning walk within the premises of the Orthopedic facility and was rushed to the Deva Martha Hospital in Kutakulam, where he was pronounced dead. The 80-year-old Odinga is a prominent Kenyan politician who served as the country's prime minister from 2008 to 2013. Over to the foreign scene, the Israeli military has said that the bodies of 4 more deceased hostages have been handed over to the Red Cross in Gaza. According to reports, they will now be transferred to Israeli forces in the territory. This comes as Israel will reportedly not reopen the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt today and will reduce the flow of aid into the territory. And still on the foreign scene, Chinese customs officers in eastern Shandong province have seized 60,000 maps that mislabeled the self-governed island of Taiwan, which Beijing claims as part of its territory. Authorities say the map also omitted important islands in the South China Sea, where Beijing's claims overlap with those of its neighbors, including the Philippines and Vietnam. The authorities noted that the maps meant for export cannot be sold because they endanger national unity, sovereignty and territorial integrity of China. The Chinese customs added that the maps also did not contain the 9-dash line, which demarcates Beijing's claim over nearly the entire South China Sea. And still to come in the news. Super Eagles to face Gabon in World Cup playoffs. Stay tuned for details of these and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News on the Hour. On our business news, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) has revised upward its Nigeria's growth forecast to 3.9% in 2025 and 4.1% in 2026. Citing improvements in the country's macroeconomic outlook, the IMF stated that the upgrade of its national growth projection for Nigeria was also based on favorable domestic situation. The multilateral institution gave the verdict in its World Economic Outlook wheel and its report released at the ongoing IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C., the United States. At a press briefing on the WEO, IMF Economic Counselor Pierre-Olivier Grunchaz said the fund based its outlook for Nigeria on several improving macroeconomic indicators and supportive domestic factors. And still in business, amid worsening supply challenges and rising pump prices, petroleum marketers have begun moves to import petrol independently as the commodity moved close to 1,000 naira per litre. Marketers said supply constraints and production glitches at the Dangote Petroleum Refinery sparked fresh pressure in the downstream oil market. The National Publicity Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, confirmed that a development in a telephone interview with journalists, according to him, that members of the Depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria are concluding arrangements to begin petrol importation as part of efforts to stabilize retail prices. In health, the World Health Organization, WHO, says neurological disorders are responsible for more than 11 million deaths globally each year. The global health body urged governments to take urgent and coordinated action to address what it described as a growing public health crisis. The disclosure was accompanied by the release of the WHO's new Global Status Report on Neurology, which confirms that neurological conditions now affect over 3 billion people, more than 40% of the global population. The WHO's Assistant Director General for Health Promotion, Disease Prevention and Control, Dr. Jeremy Farrar, highlighted the most common conditions to include stroke, migraine, Alzheimer's disease, diabetic neuropathy, meningitis, and epilepsy. And now to sportswear. Super Eagles will take on Gabon in the semi-finals of the African section of the 2026 FIFA World Cup playoffs, following the conclusion of the qualifying group matches yesterday. Recall that the Super Eagles yesterday booked their place after a 4-0 victory over Benin. Victor Osimhen netted a hat-trick while Frank Onyeka added the fourth goal to seal the win. But South Africa's 3-0 triumph over Rwanda saw them top the group with 18 points, leaving Nigeria second with 17. The playoffs, which will feature the 4 best runner-ups from the 9 African qualifying groups, are scheduled to take place in Morocco from November 13th to 16th. And still in sports, Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice and set a new goal-scoring record, but his Portugal side could only draw with Hungary to miss a chance to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. Ronaldo, 40, has now scored 41 goals in the World Cup qualifying move to clear the previous record holder, former Guatemala striker Carlos Rios, who got 39 qualifying goals in his career, with England beating Latvia 5-0 to qualify for Group K. Portugal were minutes away from also securing their spot in the next summer's tournament in Canada, Mexico and the United States. However, in the 91st minute, Liverpool midfielder Dominic Szoboszlai grabbed an equalizer to deny Portugal the win they needed, although they still hold a 5-point lead at the top of Group F with 2 matches to go. On our entertainment news, the estranged husband of Australian singer Sia has asked for more than $250,000 per month in spousal support. Best known for her hits including Chandelier and Titanium, the pop star, whose full name is Sia Fowler, cited irreconcilable differences when she filed for divorce from Daniel Bernard in March. In a U.S. court document, Bernard, a former doctor, said he needed the monthly allowance to maintain the luxurious and upper-class lifestyle he had enjoyed during the claimed he was financially dependent on Sia after he quit his job to run a short-lived medical business with her. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Eno. Enjoy the rest of your day.